Good afternoon from the Media Center Ukraine Odesa. You can watch us online both on the YouTube channel and on the Facebook page, and you can also ask your questions online. Just scan the QR code that you can see on the screen. Our current speakers are Volodymyr Pashevych, the head of the Department on Preventing the Emergency Situation of the Odesa Regional State Emergency Service, and Maryna Martynenko, spokesperson to the Odesa Regional State Emergency Service. Thank you for joining us. Today, let's discuss the safety in the autumn-winter service. Every season has its problematic, because the State Emergency Service responds to all emergency situations in our region. And, for example, just recently we've seen the decrease in the mass fires because of the dry grass, because there is increase in precipitation, and we get new problems in the autumn-winter period because the decrease of temperature brings new challenges for the State Emergency Service of Ukraine, like fires in apartments, in houses, and the most widespread reason for fires in houses, this is poor condition of the equipment, and this is the human factor, because usually this is fault of people. Every year with autumn, with decreasing temperature, we brought attention of people to this problematic because people use ovens for heating, and the use of devices by air conditioners, and people just turn on all devices that they have at home. That leads to short circuit that in its turn provokes fires. That's why nowadays we face our old problems, because with the new season, because all seasons have their own challenges. As for our response, as usually, we respond to the all information that we get. The fire brigades get to the spot, as well as other rescue teams. But to minimize the amount of such fires, people should become more conscious about that and follow the fire rules. Thank you. And now I would like to give floor to Volodymyr and to discuss in particular points of invincibility. What is the plans? And because the points of invincibility have already been deployed, and Maryna can share more details about that. As for invincibility points, those that are in the umbrella of the State Security Service, we have 55 of them, both in the city of Odesa and the Odesa Oblast, and they are in the premises of the fire units facilities. The invincibility points have already been opened, and people can start addressing. Fortunately, we have not received citizens because of the good weather conditions, but and other conditions, but taking into consideration the experience of last year, we should be prepared. We know what our enemy can do for blackouts, and that's why we are ready, and people can come to us just to relax, to charge their devices and gadgets. They can stay there. There are special areas for children, and there are a lot of materials like printed materials, books for children. We also have Starlinks for Wi-Fi connection, because last year we faced situations where there is no mobile or internet connection. That's why we also have Starlinks to ensure connection. So we have everything for a person to feel safe, some food products, coffee, tea, and people can be there. And now I would like to give floor to Volodymyr, perhaps about new equipment that the rescuers in the Odesa region receives, or is this also the question to Maryna? I can just tell about the safety component, and this is my area of responsibility. Just share with us about proactive activities to prevent fires. We have a lot of proactive preventive measures, both for blocks of flats, educational institutions. This is our everyday work, which is performed by our personnel in the field and on the spots, focusing especially on the vulnerable population, like large families, like single people, with the involvement of representatives of social services, territorial communities, people's deputies, and the national police. So we raise awareness of people and also examine the premises to share the weak points for people to be ready for winter. So we examine ovens, we examine if it is possible electrical equipment, as it has already been by Ms. Martynenko. And we make our proposals, what could be improved before the heating season. So this is our everyday work. This year, we have already more than 100 fires because of the used ovens, and this year we have already faced a case when in one of the districts of the Odesa region, 3 children died and 1 adult, and 2 more persons got burns. So that's why it is very important to remember about fire safety when in particular people use ovens. Do we have some tragic lethal cases in Odessa? We know that last year during blackouts, people just had even bonfires in their apartments, and there were different cases, and people sometimes just use generators at home or on balconies without following fire safety rules. I don't remember the cases with bonfires, but I do remember the situation when the tourist burner was used and the windows, doors were closed and children were inside and they were poisoned. Fortunately, they were alive, but they were referred to the hospital. And that was the problem, was burners that were put on ovens, just resulting in explosions. So that was just neglection of the fire safety rules. Thank you. Dear colleagues, do you have any questions? Olga Donska. Olga Donska, the TV channel We Are Ukraine, would like to come back to the points of invincibility. And the question about if they are opened, the question about Starlink's internet connection, and how long will they be open. Invincibility points are fully ready today for the population. We have 55 of them in the city of Odessa, in the Odessa region. They are under the umbrella of the fire brigade units. There are also tents. But last year we had so many people that we could not do with the tents only. So we provided our own premises, and everything is there for people to feel comfortable. because when we conducted examination of invincibility points in the region, we could see that we could even find the changing table to change babies. And nowadays, so you can just get everything you need there. And they will be open 24/7 and even during the curfew. Yes, as it was the last year, they were open during curfew. So we did not have many people during the curfew, but still we have some. And some more questions. What is the capacity? And what will we have the cars? Yes, that was the one case. That was the mobile invincibility points. The situations are different. Yes, and we have tents, as I've already mentioned, but last year we had up to 300 persons in one invincibility point. But not only our invincibility points will be opened, but they will be also other invincibility points, and if it is needed, we of course can increase the amount of such invincibility points. And when it comes to 55, this is only under umbrella of our service. Do we have any other questions from our colleagues? Ksenia Koleshkina, Перший міський, TV channel. You've mentioned the preventive activities, but can you share more details? What is meant by such preventive measures? We have already started this work, and this is our everyday work on a constant basis, because, as it has already been mentioned, every season has its own challenges, and now we understand that for the winterization, we should be well prepared. So we should analyze the situation with fires. We identify those places and cities and towns that have the biggest number of fires, and so we coordinate our activities with social services, with local authorities, with the national police, to raise awareness of people in those cities or towns or villages. And we do everything possible to increase our coverage to the maximum extent possible. So sometimes we even pay door-to-door visits. So we identify the most problematic families, and our officers visit houses. As for schools and nurseries, we have some other tasks there. We have the project of the safety classes, and there is a person nominated for every educational institution to cover as many children as possible with the limited human resources that we have. So we just prepare the schedules of visits to educational institutions. As for the mobile safety, there is also the mobile safety class. We have already presented this, and so our officers visit different educational institutions in the city and in the region. And actually, such safety classes, this is a really cool project, because we can see that the new level of raising awareness of school children. And quite often we receive feedback from parents and say that our events are cool because children, they come back home, they turn off all the devices that are not used. So this means that children, they not only learn, but they also use the information to increase awareness of their parents. And this is not just theory. We also provide some practice in the form of games, and this is more interesting for children. It is easier for them to remember the information, so they know everything, and they have learned through games. And why do we pay so much attention to children? When it comes to statistics, those that elderly people mainly violate fire safety rules, and it is very difficult to retrain such people because they have their own experience, and we understand that we should just make contribution in the development of our children, and they will be more conscious. That's why we focus a lot on the training of children. And I would also like to say that this safety clause, it does not cover activities of the fire service, but there is some other information about mine safety, road safety, first aid. So this is a really great project that develops our children. And we can see this huge demand for this class. Do we have some more questions? Суспільна Одеса, Михайло Кушмір. Volodymyr, can you mention those settlements with the biggest number of fires, and the period and the number of fires? Unfortunately, I have not prepared statistics. I will be more prepared for the next time. But when it comes to the rural area, there have been more than 2,000 fires, including more than 1,200 fires in a residential area, and quite a lot of people have been killed since the beginning of the year, including children. And there was one case in the Podilsk district. 3 children died there, and there was one more case with one more lethal case of a child. Can you compare this with previous years, of the previous period? I have some statistics. When it comes to statistics, so the numbers are more or less the same. For example, basing on my experience for one district, sometimes there are 5-7 settlements, fires in one settlement, and another in the district can have 2-3 fires. Then the situation changes. Hopefully, our preventive measures are efficient. But this is when it comes to the countryside. So more or less, the amount of the numbers of fires are the same. Are there any other questions? The questions about equipment. The State Security Service of Odesa has enough equipment for our activities, and we have enough officers. They are properly equipped, but especially with the full-scale invasion, our foreign partners support us a lot. There are a lot of donors supporting us. For example, over the recent months, we have received more than 20 units from the Charitable Foundation of Howard Buffett, and we expect to receive 10 more machineries. So these are automobile tanks and lifters, so everything needed to put out the fire. Why is this important for us to get this equipment? Because some of the equipment that we have is outdated, and we open a lot of fire brigade units in the region. So these are not the units under the umbrella of the State Emergency Service, but they are the people from communities, volunteers that help us to fight fires. For example, when it comes to dried grass, such local units are closer to fires, and they can respond quicker. They can fully put out fires or minimize the consequences of the fire to support our units. So this old equipment can be delivered to the local fire safety units, and we can use the new equipment. Different countries support us, like Poland, Germany, the United Kingdom, France, and fortunately now we have enough equipment to properly respond, to put out fires, to respond to the consequences of the Russian terror as well. Do you have such equipment that you still lack, but you desperately need it? Sometimes there is the question about car ladder, but this is not a problem that we do not have car ladders, but this is because of the narrow accessways, traffic jams. Especially this is the problem for block of flats that are built just in yards of other houses. So that's why it is impossible for the equipment with car ladders to get to the place of fire. We also have received the car tank recently up to 20 tons, and this is unique for Odesa because usually we can have water for 5 minutes, and then we need to find the water source. This 12-ton tank, of course, helps us a lot. And we can actually feed water from that tank to another smaller tank. How many equipment have you lost during since the full-scale invasion? Not so many. In Belogistrovsky district in August, that was the second attack when our people dealt with the impact of the Russians' attack, and during the second wave, 2 units were destroyed. Thank you, colleagues. Do you have any other questions? Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And this is the last briefing for today.